Hello, my fellow Bigfoot enthusiasts. This is Snow White with my Bigfoot Diary, Part 13. This is going to cover June of 2016. June 2nd, I was taking a walk this morning and was walking along the fence line in the front yard. When I got to the area between the corn crib and the fence, I noticed an X structure over in the locust trees by the fence, and there was also what looked like a lean behind it. It was not large, but it was made with branches that were broken off of the locust trees, and it was suspended above the ground about 10 or 12 inches. It was really cool. Here are some pictures of it. As you can see, it's suspended. It's a perfect little X, and that's the lean back behind it there, up against that tree. And there's a close-up. The X is where that arrow is pointing, down in those trees. And this is the view from where the X is. So I'm not sure, maybe they go back and hide behind those trees and watch the house. I walked back along the fence in the back behind the trailer, and I saw this stick laying on top of the fence. I thought maybe it just fell there, but whenever I got closer, I could see it looked like the end was stuck into the wires where it's bent over there. So I don't think there's any way that could have fallen in there like that. June 5th. It has been a solid week since anything has happened on the porch, or any activity except for finding the string that was tied up in the tree. So I'm not going to lie, I was getting worried, and I miss it so much when nothing is going on. But this was a Sunday, and things happen on Sundays a lot of the time. So I walked out to check the porch, even though I didn't really expect to find anything. And the first thing I noticed was the spot where the girl doll usually is was empty. Then I looked up on the railing and saw that the girl doll was in the spot where they have been returning things. Up there in the top left corner of the picture, there she is. And just placed so carefully right up against the siding. This is definitely meant for me to find it there. Now, absolutely nothing else was moved or touched. If you remember, on May 29th, they put that rock between the girl and the Bigfoot doll. They had never put anything down there before, and they hadn't been coming up much at that point either. So that made me feel like they were telling me that they hadn't forgotten about me, and it felt like a gesture of friendship between the girl and the Bigfoot. Now again, it has been a week without any interaction with them, and what happens? They put the girl up on the railing where they usually return things. This seemed like a definite personal communication or message. It felt like another, "Hi, I haven't forgotten about you." Why else would they choose to move the girl doll? Why not one of the other dolls if there was no meaning behind it? And I would like to mention here that there has been fruit out on the railing for days and nothing has touched it. No possums, no raccoons, nothing. I had been working on the computer for a while and I couldn't keep my eyes open, so I decided to take a nap. But before I laid down, I went out to the porch and cleared some things away. I put the girl doll back down in her spot and I put out 2 dice, a red one and a white one. That was at 4:05 p.m. I walked back in the house to get my sound recorder to put out on the railing too. 3 minutes later, I returned to the porch and the dice were moved. No one was anywhere near those dice in that 3 minutes. So that was really weird. I think they must have ran up and did that really quick while I was inside. So you can see how they looked at 4:05, and then at 4:08 they removed just a little bit, but just enough that I knew that they'd been up and did it. So I did lay down. Curtains were open, by the way. I got up and cooked us some food, and then we went for a little drive. When we got back, I was outside for a while, and then I decided to put a pair out on the railing for them. It was now 8:19 p.m. When I went to put the pair on the railing, I saw that the dice were moved again, but not just moved this time. The red one was turned over from the number 1 to the number 3. So as you can see, I think someone's having fun messing with me because they came up and turned the die over again. So on June 7th, I'd left the dice like they were on the 6th, but nothing had happened. Today, though, I'd put a shell out with a spool of pink thread in it, between the pair and dice. I went back in the house for an hour and 40 minutes. When I returned to the porch, the white die had been moved. Not the red one, not the shell with the spool of thread, not the pair, just the white die. So you see there, it's just moved a little bit. And with them moving things on the porch so quickly during the day, I think they have to be very close by watching the house and or the porch all the time. They may be hiding over in the weeds at the edge of the yard. June 8th. The pear is gone today. The last time that any food was taken was on May 24th. So 15 days of fruit being out and nothing taking it. Perhaps they're getting tired of the cicadas. The thread inside the shell was turned. The dice in the actual shell were not moved at all, though. And also the little Bigfoot doll was on the ground beside the porch. Was this to let me know that it was them that took the pear? That may be a little far-fetched, but these things crossed my mind. June 7th, see how the thread wasn't on the 8th? It's turned just a little bit. And you see the Bigfoot doll on the ground. And this was the new setup. June 9th. It has been 27 days since they have taken anything besides food from the porch. The last thing they took was that little blue rock. At 8:19, I put out a pear and a banana on the railing. There were a few other things out there too. We were sitting on the porch by 9 p.m. Once it got dark, we noticed how silent it was. Usually we hear frogs and some other night sounds, but not tonight. It was totally quiet. That is, for a while. Then we started hearing from up the driveway and to the left behind the hay bales and in that section of the woods, something that kind of sounded like a turkey or something kind of squeaky. It did it for quite a long time. We couldn't figure out what it was. We didn't think it was a Bigfoot, though. Then, a little while after that, coming from down around the dump area, we heard what sounded like a rabbit in distress sound. I said to my husband, maybe they're hunting turkeys and rabbits tonight, thinking maybe the sounds we heard actually were a rabbit or turkey or something. As we sat there, we heard a stick break, like something stepped on it just on the other side of the fence, going towards the propane tank area and the yard next to the front porch. It was dark over there, so we couldn't see anything. Buddy, our outside cat, kept looking over there for a long time. He just kept watching that area like he was seeing something. It was getting close to 11 o'clock when we both heard a soft grunt come from over by the garage, about 10 to 15 feet from where we were sitting. But again, it was in the shadows. And then we heard it again. My husband said hello, and then so did I. I talked to them for a minute, and then we decided to go inside because my husband had to go to work the next day. As we were getting ready for bed, I checked the door into the garage and it wasn't locked, so I went out to check the door to the back porch and make sure that I hadn't forgot to lock it. So I turned the garage light on and the porch light, and it was then that I noticed that the pear and the banana were gone. So as we sat on the front porch, they'd come up and took the fruit. So this confirmed that the stick we heard break and the grunts was them. I don't know if anything else was messed with because I didn't go out far enough to check. I'd have to see in the morning what else might have happened. My husband and I were pretty excited, though, that they'd come that close to us. We feel that they are getting even more comfortable with us and more bold. I really would like to see one directly with my own eyes, I think. June 10th. So yes, when I checked the porch, the pear and the banana were gone. The Bigfoot doll was just slightly moved, and the shell up on the railing was moved about 90 degrees. So you can see there, shell's turned. That's really about it. And the little Bigfoot doll's turned a little bit. At 11:23 a.m. I changed out the stuff on the railing, and here is what I put out. Just a rock and a few little toys. I decided to clean the carpets, so for the whole afternoon I was busy with the very loud carpet cleaner. I finished up around 5 p.m. I checked the porch at 5:16 p.m. and I found a new gift waiting for me. It was a little black rock. They put it in the return spot on the railing. I picked it up and I made over it and said how much I liked it and told them thank you. It is a very cool little rock, and it reminds me of the blue one that I gifted to them, and that they still have. It is similar in size and shape, and it has little lines and cracks in it like the blue one. Was this an exchange for the blue rock since they hadn't returned it? As you can see, my gift today at the top and the blue rock that they still have. Look how similar that they are. June 11th. Last night the porch was like this. I put some food out on a plate, and that's chicken that you see there. Those are the things on the railing. Today the chicken was gone, the banana and pear were gone, 2 of the strawberries were on the ground but didn't have any teeth marks, the kiwis weren't touched, and the plate wasn't knocked off the railing. The bell was on the ground, the scissors and the blue statue were moved. There you can see one of the strawberries. But here's what I found most interesting. Last night, my husband and I walked up to the top of the hill behind our house to watch the sunset together. We had our arms around each other, you know, romantic stuff. We joked about how in the morning we might find the man doll tied in knots, but instead, this is what we found. See that the girl and the man doll were on the ground, and the Bigfoot doll was even further beyond them, laying on the ground. Now, last night, this is where we were. We were up on this hill, and the woods over there is where the Bigfoots might have been watching us. So can you see the similarities of the placement of the individuals? The man doll and the girl were placed close together, and the Bigfoot doll was off at a distance, in a position to perhaps observe. I've never found the man and girl dolls placed together like this before. So to me, it's more than a coincidence that this was like this today, and that they probably observed us snuggling last night. This is not the first time that they seem to have played out roles with the dolls. There was a time when I first got the girl, Bigfoot, and car that they placed them in positions with the girl and car together and the Bigfoot behind a rock like it was hiding. Now you can see here the positions of the dolls, and then it's interesting that the girl and the man doll are formed into a triangle as well as being put together. June 12th. Last night I left things on the porch like this, and the dolls. Today both bananas were gone, the rock with the hole in it was on the ground, the trinkets were messed up, and the Bigfoot doll was on the ground. See the Bigfoot doll there in front of the porch. I also found this in the yard today. Pretty interesting. June 13th. The only things different today were that the apple and banana were gone from the railing and the pink ring was moved a little bit. June 14th. This morning everything was moved. Seeing the top how it was last night on the 13th, and then this morning. Everything on the railing was moved, and the man doll and the car were on the ground, so was that little bobblehead monkey. So this all definitely showed activity, but the thing that caught my attention was this. The man in the car were moved off of the porch and was on the ground, and the bobblehead monkey was on the ground with the man doll in the car, leaving the girl and the Bigfoot doll alone up on the porch. And the Bigfoot doll was moved ever so slightly into a position that seems to have meaning. The Bigfoot doll's moved over so that it is snuggled up next to the girl doll, like they're buddies or something. The Bigfoot doll even has its arm over top the girl doll, seeming either protective or just a closeness of some sort. And this was very heartwarming to me, but also a little disconcerting, depending on the meaning behind it. So you can see there how the dolls were left yesterday and then how the Bigfoot arranged them today. Here's a closer up picture of it. You can see the little arm up over the girl doll. And then this was weird too. This morning at 8:52, the yellow thread was over by the ring. When I went back out to the porch at 11:12, it was moved about a foot away from where it was and was under the flower. There's no way that it moved or rolled there without rolling off the railing. So you can see it over there underneath the plant. So you can see it's far enough away that something had to have picked it up and moved it. And I want to take a minute to show something that I have recently noticed. There are several ground stick formations or glyphs that look very similar to me. So I'm going to show you these in pairs. These two have a lot of similarities in my opinion. So do these ones and the next to them I'm going to be showing you. Especially the shapes on these two are just incredibly similar. And also these triangles that seem very similar. June 17th. Yesterday I put out a banana, an apple, and a new green bell. This morning they were all gone. Also, the Bigfoot doll was on the ground beside the porch. There's how they were yesterday. Today everything was gone. You can see how the little Bigfoot dolls moved pretty far off the porch. June 18th. This is how I left some food out last night, and I put that little shell beside the plate. This morning the food was gone and the plate was on the ground. The little Bigfoot doll was moved way back out of its regular position, and the dolls over there were also moved, as you can see here. And that little shell that was on the railing is clear over under that chair. I decided to make a gesture of friendship back towards the Bigfoot, so I moved the girl and Bigfoot up on the railing and put them similar to how they had arranged them a few days ago. I had put a little piece of shell up there too. This was at 9:53 a.m. I took a nap later in the day. When I woke up and checked the porch, I was really surprised. The little piece of shell that was on the railing by the dolls was moved over across the porch to the other railing. They'd never put anything on that railing before, so I wonder why they did that. Just to say, hey, we were here, I guess. So you can see here it's on the railing opposite of where all the gifting usually takes place. June 19th. Yesterday I put some food out and it was gone this morning. So you see on the 19th the food was gone, nothing else was touched. I put out a die with the piece of shell, some more food, and the stuffed monkey that I had put out in a jar a few months ago. They had knocked it off the railing then. I don't think they liked it. Maybe because it was in the jar and it creeped them out. But I figured I would give it another try, but not in the jar this time. So here's how the food on the railing looked, and that's the little stuffed monkey. June 20th. The food was gone. The banana peel was on the ground in front of the porch. The die was moved a little bit and the stuffed monkey was gone. I can't believe they actually took it. That's awesome. Now, as of today, April 10th, 2017, the day that I'm creating this video, the little stuffed monkey was never returned. So they must have really liked it. So here you see the aftermath of them coming up. They took the monkey's gone, the food was gone, the die's moved, and the banana peel's in the yard. Today, the 20th, was a work day for me, so I went to work in the morning and I returned home at 3:48 p.m. I was very surprised to find that while I was at work, they returned the green bell that they'd taken on the 17th. And guess where they put it? That's right, behind the siding trim. They're so funny. June 22nd. I found another Bigfoot doll at the store, so I added it to the doll family. There he is on the right. At the urging of a friend who is in the BFRO and had read a copy of my diary up to this point, I decided to work out for sure what was taking the food from the back porch. He thinks that I should eliminate all other possibilities other than a Bigfoot, and I agreed because I was tired of worrying about it and feeling like I needed to explain over and over again why I thought it was a Bigfoot. So I took steps to work out a way to make it available to the Bigfoot but out of reach of other critters. It took me a while to work it out, but I get this resolved in July. There will be more on that to come later. I also put out a motion-activated camera pointed at the back porch through the window from the garage, looking out there. As you can see here, I tried to disguise it cleverly in a curtain. Hopefully they wouldn't see it, but that was kind of funny because they knew it was there. But this is the view that the camera was getting. And I will let you know right now that it never did catch them moving in front of the camera. I think they knew it was there the whole time. They avoided it somehow. Sometimes it would turn off by itself to recharge or rest or something, even though it was plugged into an outlet. The camera also does not pick up anything at night. I don't know, but the activity did slow down a lot during the time that the camera was up. But a few things happened that should have caught something, but it didn't. So I don't know if the camera was in one of its shutdown periods when that stuff happened or what. I left the camera up until July 1st, so keep that in mind as you go over the rest of these diary entries for the month. On the 23rd, the only thing moved on the porch was the girl there that you see was moved slightly. However, something very significant happened on the front porch. Placed dead center on the seat of my chair that I always sit in was a little Y stick. My chair's the one on the right by the window. It's a covered porch. There's no way that this fell in there. Placed perfectly in the center, except it follows the lines of the design in the chair, which is incredible. This is significant for a few reasons. First, they have never gifted anything on the front porch before, and there is no way it fell there because the porch is covered and my chair is up against the wall of the house. Second, this tells me that they obviously watch us and know where we sit. This Y stick was meant for me. Third, my husband has a theory as to why they did this. We've been hearing researchers talk about how they have noticed certain shapes being prevalent in certain Bigfoot groups or clans, and that those shapes might be a clan symbol. I had noticed that the Y was prevalent with my clan. So my husband's theory is that they gave me this Y stick on my chair to show me that they have accepted me into their clan. Now that kind of makes sense. Why? Because of the gestures of friendship that they have been making with the dolls over the last few weeks. Remember the rock placed between the girl and the Bigfoot doll on the 29th after a spell of inactivity? And it felt to me like they were telling me that they hadn't forgotten about me. And it felt like a personal gesture of friendship somehow, and they'd never put anything there before. So that's how it was on May 29th when they put the rock there. And then on June 5th, after another little spell of inactivity, there was this gesture made. They had moved the girl doll from the porch floor up to the spot where they usually return things. Then on June 14th, when they took all the dolls off the porch and left only the girl and the Bigfoot doll together, and had moved them to be snuggled up close to each other. So those are some reasons why I feel that it is a good possibility that my husband's theory may be correct. There are other things that happen sometimes that I haven't included in the diary, like vocalizations directed at or near me when I'm out walking, things like that, which make me feel that they are becoming much more comfortable with my presence and that they are moving closer to us or letting me know that they are closer. June 24th. There was no activity on the porch except for a raccoon ruining one of my feeding station attempts, so I decided to put the live trap back out to catch that little masked bandit. And then when we catch animals in the live trap, my husband takes them far away and releases them. So this is where I put the trap. One thing that I did find curious today, though, was this. The top picture is how it was yesterday, and today this leaf is on the older Bigfoot doll. Now this could merely be a coincidence and have just fallen there like that, but I just thought I would mention it. June 25th. This was a Saturday. Nothing had changed on the porch overnight. We had a wedding to go to that was 45 minutes from our house, so we left at about 2:30 p.m. and returned home at around 7. I checked things and noticed that the apple which had been inside the trap was now outside of the trap, with no teeth marks or anything on it. Then, when I looked at the porch, I noticed that the die had been turned from the 1 to the 3. This was while we were gone. The camera didn't pick anything up, so it must have been in one of its shutdown times when this happened, I guess. Here's the pictures. So then here's how I left the railing for the night. June 26th. The first thing that I noticed this morning was that the bell was moved. Then I noticed that the die had been turned over again. It was on the 3 last night. This morning it was turned to the 2. So there you can see it was turned over and the bells moved forward. Then as I walked around the yard, I saw that the live trap was moved about 8 feet away from where it had been. Only something with hands could have moved it that far, and it is also facing in the opposite direction from what it was before. So you can see it was where the yellow arrow is pointing, and now it's moved over behind that grass. I left the trap where it was and turned the die back over to the number 1. We had things to do all day long. We left the house at 9:49 a.m. and didn't return until around 7 p.m. There was absolutely nobody at the house all day while we were gone. A bunch of people from my family went to my mom's house to help do some outside work for her. It was extremely hot that day, not much wind at all, but the camera picked up sounds outside of our garage all day long. Not just little sounds, but banging, knocking, and some other weird sounds. The bush and the flowers outside the window had moved just enough to set off the motion detector on the camera, so it picked up those sounds all day. We think it was at least one Bigfoot hanging out by the garage making these noises. It had to be something big and something with hands to make these sounds. It makes us wonder how often they do this when we're away, and what the heck they were doing. Also, it's interesting that the camera never caught any visuals of them at all. They knew not to walk in front of the camera. That tells me that they definitely knew it was there and avoided it. I'm going to make a video with those sounds on it coming up after I get this diary video done. June 27th. This morning the purple rock, thread, and bell were on the ground beside the porch. The car was moved backward and the man doll was on the ground, leaving the 2 Bigfoot dolls and the girl by themselves up on the porch. As you can see there, the 26th on the top and the 27th, how I found things. The next thing that I noticed was that the trap was moved again. It was moved another 6 to 8 feet over to the edge of the yard and under the pine tree. It was here, as it shows in this picture, and then it was moved back under the tree where this green circle is. There's a closer up picture of it. June 29th. Nothing significant happened on the 28th. Today, the things on the railing were messed with a little bit. The new Bigfoot doll was moved and turned over. The man doll was moved a little bit also. So you see there the new Bigfoot dolls turned completely over. Well, that was an exciting and interesting month. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you for all of your support.